Hey guys, what is going on? We are back and we're going to be talking about some of the upcoming content in the Vanguard Season 2 update and maybe covering a little bit of potential Warzone news that might actually be coming in Season 2 as well. There's a lot of stuff to cover here today, but just before we do get into talking about all the leaks that we have seen on twitter.com recently, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. I do very much appreciate it, and it really does help me out. Of course, we are still looking for 6,000 subscribers. If you would love to join this little community that we are building here, it would mean an awful lot to me if you did hit that subscribe button. So, let's talk about some of the content that we could potentially be seeing in the Season 2 update. There's a lot of stuff to go over here today, so we won't waste any more of your time. So to start us off here, we know that the Season 2 update was supposed to release on the 2nd or the 3rd of February, depending on where you do live. But we mentioned in a previous video that they did end up delaying the Season 2 release until the 14th to give them a chance to fix some of the current issues in Vanguard and Warzone. Some of which are significant enough to actually prevent people from playing the game at all. Like, they try and boot up the game and there's like an update thing and it just cycles through that forever and it just means you can't play the game. That's bad, of course. You want people to be able to play the game, of course. I'm always going to be disappointed by news like this. It is fair enough to assume that something like that is potentially a bad thing, but I mean, you look at it like this. You see that they want to actually fix the game and you're like, okay, well, let's give them a chance. News like this does disappoint me, of course, because this is part of my income and part of that does come from reporting and talking about Call of Duty news, making content for you guys, but I'd much rather they actually fix the game, and I'm sure many of you out there would agree, and you've been calling for it for months, that they would rather just have a fixed game than just keep layering new content on top of already broken things. I'm sure many of you actually do feel the same way. Despite feeling disappointment, that's normal and a fairly regular feeling to have with something like this, but again, it's a good thing that this happened, that they did end up trying to fix the Season 1 update again, because it was a little bit of a mess when it did come out because of all the bugs and things. I really do not want to get stuck in the roof of a new map again like I did when on Radar when that did first launch. So anyway, lots of rumors were floating around today that I have seen, but until we do see blog posts and roadmaps on the official Call of Duty sources, like their Instagram and their Twitter account, none of this is confirmed, again, apart from that release date, which did get delayed until the 14th of February, which is Valentine's Day, so rip everybody who does have a girlfriend. I mean, Call of Duty players don't have girlfriends, so it is what it is. I've seen numerous leaks that all point towards similar things, some allegedly from the game files, and some of them are probably just made up and sort of piling on. There's just a lot of things are going around today. Talking about some of the map content that we could potentially see, this seems fairly reliable from what I can tell. USS Texas, I have seen a lot of chatter on Twitter about this from the COD World War II map returning to Vanguard, which is definitely an interesting addition to the game, I believe. I absolutely remember this one from World War II, but I'm not sure if this is something that needed to return in this year's Call of Duty game. We actually did, in Cold War, see a map that was very, very similar to this in Armada, and we're going to talk about that more in a second. This will obviously play almost exactly and identically to how it did, of course, in World War II back in the day. And I'm not sure that's entirely a good thing. You have to let me know what you do think about this map regardless returning, because I'm not 100% sold on this one. I don't remember it being an outstanding map, but it is nice to get new map content regardless when we have had the map for a little while now. It's always nice to get new map content on top. For those of you who did never play World War II, this map does play fairly similar to, like we did mention, Armada from Cold War. Lots of close range combat in the internal structure of the ship, and then there is a couple of longer lines of sight on the outside. Should be interesting if this leak does hold true, but again, you'll have to let me know how you do feel about this. I'm okay with it. It's never one of my favorite maps, but I don't think it's one of the worst maps they've ever made. I think it's going to be an okay addition. Moving on to something a little less concrete, I've also seen mention of a map named Alps, or that might be a code name, or it could just be the name of the map. This has been featured in some kind of ground war addition to the game in Season 2, which we will talk about more about ground war possibly returning in just a second here. A map named Bastion, Factory, and Tank B, all separate names, have also been spotted in the game files according to somebody on twitter.com. Again, we can take a little bit from these titles here. Alps obviously relating some kind of mountainous terrain. Ground war is again mentioned alongside this, so it'll likely be one of the larger maps in the game. Bastion does typically refer to something like a castle or some bunker style buildings, so again we could see something related to that. Maybe Stonehaven from COD Ghost does come back in a ground war style. That would be pretty cool, maybe. Probably not though. Factory is a very self-explanatory one, just a big old box type factory, maybe a tank factory kind of thing. And then Tank B, my imagination does tell me that we could see some kind of relatively flat battlefield with filled with tanks as cover. Maybe a couple of bit of hills, maybe some trenches, but just a medium-sized map with a lot of tanks to hide behind and move between areas. But again, we're going to have to wait and see if any of this does appear in the game. I think this is some of the names from the game file, so again, we're going to have to wait and see what we get here. If there are any maps that you do think would be a fantastic addition to the game, maybe again, some World War II editions or again, some World at War editions, make sure you let me know in the comments what you think would be good to add. As we did mention, we have seen a number of different times today mention of Ground War returning through these leaks again, which is definitely a potential and welcome addition to the game. Modern Warfare's Ground War system definitely had its moments of being a fun time, but again, if they implement this incorrectly, correctly, you could end up seeing like people stuck on the E flag like you were on an Eye Palace in Modern Warfare. You basically just got stuck behind a wall. You couldn't run out into the road or anything. You couldn't cross and leave the E flag because everybody was just looking at you all the time. You just got fired upon immediately. So having stuff like that, that's bad. I mean, it is okay in terms of the actual idea of the map, but it does not feel very good. So it depends how they implement this, exactly how this ends up playing. So I could see this being pretty fun, but with a map like Alps, I'm not 100% sure. It could be a lot of long range stuff, very open terrain, or we could see something like Operation Locust from Battlefield with a bit of a mixture of both. You've got the outside lane with a lot of sniping and stuff going on, big outside open area, and then a lot of internal combat, which could be very, very cool. I'd love to see something like that get added to Call of Duty, but I'm not 100% sure if this is going to materialize, but we'll have to wait and see what we get here. Talking about Warzone here for a second here, there are also rumors floating around for Warzone with the anniversary of Warzone, which I believe is going to occur in the middle of Season 2 with the mid-season update, or early Season 3, depends on how the timing falls out. With the Rebirth Island, that might potentially be leading in either getting an update or some significant changes, which will likely disappoint fans who don't currently enjoy Caldera as much as they do Rebirth Island. Alcatraz does feel like a little bit of a comfort and a return to some of the older style Warzone maps, so seeing this be removed and changed significantly might be a little bit of a detriment to the game, especially if people do love the current playstyle of Rebirth Island. I do like a little bit of Rebirth Island from time to time. I've still got Warzone installed on the PC, and I do still occasionally jump into Rebirth. I don't really like Caldera too much, but I don't think it's bad. I'm just not really a massive Warzone fan. But again, this won't really affect me too much as I don't really jump into Warzone too often. But again, you have to let me know how you feel about this. If you love the current version of Rebirth Island and you do not want it to change, again, let me know in the comments below. Moving on to the DLC weapons here, in terms of potential weapons that we will likely be seeing, I have seen mention of the Chauchat LMG, which again, apologies for butchering that name. This LMG looks like this, as you can see on the screen right now, and from doing a little bit of Googling, apparently this is like literally one of the worst machine guns that has ever been made. Like, it used to jam up all the time. Dirt would get into like the open magazine and it'd just jam it, and it basically wouldn't work. I mean, imagine they added that kind of mechanic to Call of Duty, like you fired the weapon in the mud and it got jammed, and oh, that'd be just ridiculous. So let's hope this is not an absolute dumpster fire of a weapon in the game, like apparently it was in the real world. I'd also expect this to potentially be another shotgun getting added alongside this. I know we did just get out of a bit of a shotgun meta, like they did end up nerfing those shotguns quite significantly, but we might be walking into another one, so we'll have to be a little bit wary about this. But if they do add another shotgun to the game, let's hope they learned from some of the balancing decisions that they did make from the current in-game shotgun list. We're also pretty likely to see a marksman rifle get added alongside this as kind of like a trio of the lesser used weapons compared to the assault rifle, the SMGs, and the snipers that they did add in Season 1. So I would likely expect to see a shotgun, maybe something goofy like a big old blunderbuss or something. That would be an interesting sort of like mid-season update weapon. I think that'd be a cool addition to the game, like we did see in World War II. We are again likely to see, as I did mention, the Chauchat LMG, and maybe like a lever action marksman rifle, like your Winchester or something like that would be a very cool addition to the game. I can see myself running around with like a Winchester with a slate reflector on it. I think that's going to be really cool if they did add something like that. Getting a one-shot kill to the upper torso or a headshot would be a very, very cool, skillful addition to the game. But again, that's just sort of something that I'm hoping and dreaming for. Of course, none of this is confirmed, as we did mention previously. I do think the Chauchat is a pretty likely gun to get added to the game, though, in Season 2, so just keep that in mind. And just some little minor changes as well. We are likely to see some more perks and some more grenade things get added, of course, into the Battle Pass like we did see previously. I think we're probably likely to see a couple of Tier 2 perks get added to try and get people off using that sort of forward intel perk, which is one of the most broken things in the game at the moment. So again, I would like to see some more perks get added. It kind of missed the mark with the incendiary grenade. That was a little bit too powerful, so again, they're probably going to add another grenade and make it less powerful than that. Still a decent option. I do want to see more changes and more cool things in the Battle Pass to get people into that, get people buying it, and get people having a good time in Call of Duty again. So that's going to wrap us up here today for all of the expected changes that we can see in the Season 2 of Vanguard and Warzone updated. I am very, very excited about all the upcoming changes that could potentially be. But again, we're going to have to wait and see, wait until the confirmation does come out about what we are likely to see with this. Of course, the date is confirmed at the 14th of February. At this stage, again, that could change again like it did last time, but I think it'll still be the 14th of February. Again, thank you very much for watching this one. I do massively appreciate it. And if you do want to stay up to date with all of the Season 2 content into Vanguard and Warzone, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on, because it does very much help me out and I massively appreciate it. Again, thank you very much for watching, as I did say already, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye!